Good morning and magandang araw. Magandang araw! There are two significant dates to remember. The day you were born and the day you figured out the reason for your being. I do not assent to the prevailing collective thought that women are lacking, because the truth is, as I quote Ruby Kaur, that since day one, she already has everything she needs within herself. It's the world that convinced her she did not. I know many of us have stories about able, intelligent, and competent women who were passed up for major promotions in leadership roles. It was painful, as it was for reasons that were difficult to address: unspoken and conscious bias, and other unusual behaviors that could not be defined, defended, nor answered. For some reason, the bar seems to be higher because we are women. What is it that's holding back women from taking the key leadership roles? I thought about this, and it felt that it would be presuming that I know the right answers for your various circumstances. I do not have them. What I have is my life's collective work and a reflective mind that could be helpful. The values I held, the choices I made, and the decisions that led me to the path of a chain of leadership positions not usually entrusted to women, at least not during my time. There were creative and good forces along the way that propelled me to career heights, well beyond my colorful and random dreams. Falling for the right person, anchoring on a strong foundation, knowing when to hold and when to fold, embracing my humanity and finding the positive in most situations helped me. Strange as this may seem, let me begin with something very personal to our topic of women as professionals, as she is not defined for being simply this. New York best-selling author Harriet Jackson Brown Jr. wrote, "Choose your life mates carefully. From this decision will come 90% of all your happiness or misery." True happiness comes from knowing you love and are loved in return. Knowing that you have someone who's affectionate, caring, and attentive to your needs. A significant other who shares your values and acknowledges you as a partner, the other half of the whole team. Someone who respects your perspective, your dreams, apart from your shared goals. Mothering is a full-time job or a lifetime job. Cooking and looking after family meals, taking care of the children, especially when they're sick, mending broken bones and broken hearts, relationships, college entrance exams, and providing house care are all two important activities that are crucial to bringing up a healthy family and running a smooth home. And I must add, being a wife, a daughter, and a sibling are likewise full-time jobs. I have 5 children and two daughters and 3 sons who would have different needs in the different stages of their growing up years. Having someone to share the load was key in achieving my own balance. I performed the role of society's acceptable norm and my own definition of a loving mother, while being allowed to pursue my own dreams. I married someone who's growing and is also supportive of my own personal growth, who's not consumed by his ego and his need for society's validation. His security provided me with emotional support and the freedom to extend my career, working with highly performing individuals across the globe. Because of his early success in his firm then, it gave me the financial security and confidence to be able to make independent decisions that may not be popular. I know I will eat should I be fired. Dear friends, equality and achieving balance in the workplace begin at home. Growing up, I played a lot with my male cousins, marbles, patintero, hide and seek. I tagged with them and I climbed trees with them too. I was an active little girl, and I never felt less capable with these games. In fact, I really felt good outsmarting them sometimes. That was when I first became aware of the thrill of winning and how to win by planning my play. I must have been 6 or 7 years old then. It was so much fun and joyful. I grew up in a big, loving family where our parents, by example, inspired us to live out our passions, taught us patience, how to manage conflicts, to dress neatly, and to try as much to be warm and generous. By generosity, my father went as far as adopting foreign students during Christmas and New Year so that they are with family during holidays. Early exposure to various cultures made me gender and colorblind, and on my own embraced diversity. Because principles have no gender, I treat men, women, and those in between with great amount of respect, and I try to build honest relationships with them in the same measure. Later in my career life, these subtle and unspoken lessons must have left an imprint in my heart. I passed up a few foreign assignments because we wished for our children to be with family and their friends during their formative years, to grow up in stable and familial settings. I witnessed the harm faced by expatriate children and spouses who could not take the constant disruption to family life in unfamiliar places. When the right time came for me to take on foreign assignments, I negotiated that I come home on weekends to my family. Eventually, I was given bigger responsibilities and awarded the management of critical functions across Asia. I guess at that point, there was enough trust and a good track record for the company to take a risk on me. My father was a man of letters. He has a master's and doctoral degree from the US and the United Kingdom on scholarships. He imbibed in us my own love and desire for learning. What's going for us today is the reality that the world around us has fundamentally shifted. New markets are emerging, many industries are being disrupted. Industrial revolutions have transformed our present society, changing the way we work and the way we live. The fourth and industrial revolutions of disruptive technologies and trends such as the Internet of Things, robotics, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence are upon us. This is our good fortune, our blessing, and our challenge. Technology provides us with far more information, good and bad, stretches and broadens our runways, and opens up fresh, borderless horizons. Jasmine and Aladdin had a magic carpet. We have technology, our whole new world. Study, harness, and embrace these developments as the convergence of technology and humans is quickly moving us into the era of artificial intelligence. Tomorrow waits for no one. The premise that each revolution has been that it improved human life. Thus, more than ever, technology demands of all of us to stretch beyond our early and easiest conceptions, as we all are now unintended digital and global citizens. I chose to be on the driver's seat of change, and not just ride a point-to-point bus as speed on the road to disruption. We should always be work in progress to remain relevant, for one day, your company may just lose its bigness and its strength. Contribute to the company's progress and help move the industry forward. Likewise, relevance for me created a web of network of friends and leaders who I sometimes count on for an exchange of ideas, collaborative work, and exciting partnerships that continue to build bigger and better leadership platforms. Continue to nourish and nurture your imagination. Please do not edit nor neuter your ambitions. You need a team. No one has an exclusive of the company's genius. Even the best minds, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, needed their teams to execute on their visions. Working as a team provides diversity of thought, varying skill sets, and drives transformation as you lean on one another to deliver strategies and solutions. Life, after all, is a team sport. For metaphors, one can look at the workplace as navigating a strong river with other people who need to paddle and synchronize their movements to get across. Sometimes it's calm, but oftentimes the waters can get turbulent and the winds strong. You may find yourself overwhelmed, frustrated, and alone. But not when you have one another rowing and moving the boat, or sometimes carrying the boat itself forward. Having teammates alongside creates a stronger voice and a collective and higher sense of empowerment. Carry your weight. Be the best and most wanted member of the team. I give my all to every task. I perform as if what was in front of me was the only opportunity I had. Be trusted to do perfectly, even the little things. Earlier in life, I realized that in decision-making, not all situations fall between black, white, or distinct, vivid colors. I have solutions that may not necessarily be acceptable to others. Being hardwired is not always the best way forward. This is how world wars and trade wars happen. Our opportunity lies in the gray zones, or in the middle ground, where there is at least a convergence of principles. At which intersections do we meet? Our agreed solution may not be the better answer for the moment, but it is a step to the best answer. Time will see this through. I have learned when to hold and when to fold. Knowing the difference between the two is largely dependent on whether keeping a hardline position is more important than making an effort to see the other person's point of view. When you come to terms more quickly on the way forward, you keep the respect and save on precious time. When faced with difficult, equally right, important options, it is my own inner self and those whose counsel I respect that act as my guiding force. I try to choose the more loving thing to do, and sometimes it is also more difficult. Nice girls do not get the corner office, says the book of the same title. I do not totally agree with this view, along with many other hacks on how women can get to leadership positions. They say one must act, drink, talk, and dress like a man, so the men might treat you as an equal and will listen. I consider being born a woman as one of my many blessings and a great privilege. I ask to be treated like a lady, to have doors opened and be lent a hand. Women add color, passion, and compassion, and are confident enough to remain quiet when needed. Keep the men guessing. Time is everything. Keep that smile, take courage. Speak your intelligent mind, create and add value so you get an invitation to the table. Show your brilliance with your arguments without having to put all your emotions into it. Decision makers will recognize a great idea when it is coherent, it's rational, and strategic. Get things done a woman's way. I normally choose my words carefully to convey my point of view without trying so hard to impose or assert my opinions on others. Be your best woman self. Dress up, stand tall, chin up. It's liberating to know your own self-worth. Leadership is not about manhood or looking strong. It is about being smart, clever, and able. Being a woman is the hardest job a man can ever try to do. This is from Tootsie, a very famous film in 1982 lead actor, Dustin Hoffman, who needed to cross-dress and be a woman just to land the job. Faith-driven, I developed an optimistic perspective to be positive, in thought, in action, and in words. Perhaps it was from our mother, who always saw the glass half full. Her confidence likewise moved by a very strong faith and love for God and belief in the Catholic Church. My personal values are rooted in the same way. I have exercised my judgments with a lot of room for tolerance. I continue to always be hopeful, even in the most challenging circumstances. When worry comes, I pray harder to the one who looks after all of us with much affection. And by grace, He provides the best answers on time. We were born with different circumstances, but what we do with our situation is up to us. They say to be born poor is someone else's fault, but to die poor is on you. While desiring respect, be respectful of others. Be accessible whenever you may. Someone whose role seems insignificant may actually be the one in charge of the seating arrangement in the most important roundtable event of your career life. At a corporate dinner, she may seat you not accidentally beside the visiting global chairman and CEO, who, impressed by your discourse and charm, will invite you to a critical role that would eventually get you a ticket to New York. My story. As a Philippine expatriate in New York, one needs to adapt quickly to the reality of a change in status, from being a big fish in a small pond to a tiny creature navigating the deep blue sea. Layer that with the 2006 emerging financial crisis, when by 2008, we witnessed the worst economic disaster since the Great Depression of 1929. The subprime mortgage crisis led to the Great Recession, sending shockwaves across the globe. Financial institutions, banks, investment banks, insurance companies, central banks carried huge financial losses, and individual and corporate wealth were nearly decimated. The cost of the financial crisis was staggering, affecting global markets and leaving some countries totally exposed. Leading and managing people in the midst of the crisis marks you profoundly for life. Job losses were inevitable, 2.6 million by January 2009. The situation was dire and sobering. It teaches you some transformative life lessons that forever changes your spirit. Lessons in humility, honesty, and tenacity. But most importantly to me, excessive corporate greed, the relentless push for profits, and lack of accountability are remarkable lessons of how not to run a business. I anchored on my inner compass to thrive. St. Patrick's was a solace. But as with all things, good and bad, even that came to pass. Thank you, God. I ask you to lead a purposeful and meaningful life. This is where I want to say that part of the journey should be the desire for success, for yourself and for the people around you, and an ambition for the higher good. This layer gives one's desire for success, meaning, and an impact on society. Each of us must be a force for good, an invitation to do our share. Our time, talent, and treasure should go beyond providing for ourselves and our families, but extend it to our neighbors and our communities. Never lose the chance to give hope every day. We cannot write code and teach applications to love. So while we live in this technology-driven world, please remember, to be kind is more important than to be right. Many times what people need is not a brilliant mind that speaks, but a special heart that listens. The universe is doubly blessed by a person who has a brilliant mind and a good heart. We must learn to listen as sincerely as we want to be heard. Let us share the fruits of Mother Earth with our fellow men and learn to lead with our nice foot forward. Let us win with our kindness and generosity. Living in a time of instant gratification, of immediate likes, may weaken our resolve. I assure you the dividends will come exactly when we need them. Dear friends, our country may continue to be battered by calamities, political bickering, and economic challenges, but it remains standing. God must truly love the Philippines. Let us do our share and help build resilient, empowered, and sustainable communities. Let us be present and be there for friends and family, not just in a message with a heart emoji or on Twitter. Let us be there for our neighbors. Let's lift up one another and celebrate each and every moment of joy. Let us hold hands in times of sorrow and loss. Let us be good leaders and cheerleaders, genuinely and openly affirming and encouraging one another. Let us love our country not because it is great or it is perfect, because it is our very own. Let me now end by saying, we all have the reasons for choosing the goals and plans we set for ourselves. Let that reason drive you, inspire you, and encourage you. I say risk and uncertainty will be familiar companions of leaders, but both offer opportunities for the bold and the brave. Yet both can also bring failure for the overcautious and the unknowing. I echo Angela Renberg's CEO. The intuitive feeling heart will never mislead you in work, a relationship, or with family. We are hardwired to overthink our way through life and almost instinctively look outside, and today I must add, Google, for heartfelt answers instead of within ourselves. The answer, dear friends, lies with each and every one of us. My hope is that together we discover the real meaning of what it is like to shoot for the moon. Magandang araw at maraming salamat.
One of the main takeaways in this speech was the fact that she began it by saying, I don't know, and I have no advice to really give you, and let's figure it out together. And looking at the gray areas is where we can actually be contributing, especially in a world so complex as what we're living in, a future that is so uncertain. Thank you so much for those insights. You know, I need to jump in with your feedback on that, as well as your own inputs from the rest of the panel. I wanted to start with Ms. Army because we were just discussing one of your touch points in last night's program, the pre-program ahead of this conference, where she said ultimately it's about love. This whole debate on gender equality, who is better than who? Is it about skills? Is it about gender? No, it's about love. And I want us to, for you to kick off with that, ma'am, but also for everyone here in the panel to start with the idea of what is your definition of women as professionals? Because in this arena, women are not just professionals. You can be women as mothers, women as creators, but still the professional life is something where we nevertheless struggle if you look at the data, if you look at the statistics. So I think we need to reflect on these questions. Ms. Army, can you kick off with your points?
Hello? Can you hear me? Good afternoon. Oh, I think everybody's sleepy. Good afternoon. I'm so happy to be part of the panel here, to be part of the distinguished members of the panel here. And in yesterday's point, and I'm so excited to be talking about passion and professionalism. Why? Because this is really this is where I come from. But I was driving a point that the driver of passion is really love. We cannot really have passion without love. Right? Yes. Do you agree, women? Ladies? So what I'm saying is that in love, I would like to quote our favorite philosopher and theologian, Father Bernard Lonergan, who says that if you love, you're able to be attentive to the experiences. When you're in love, you are really attentive to the person you love. You're able to be intelligent, you're understanding. With love, you're able to be sensible to your decision. And with love, you are responsible with your actions. So that's it. I mean, love is really the driver of the passion. And for professionalism, I feel that, we have this passionate love and passion for professionalism in the community. Because I feel that we belong to a community. First of all, as a mother, we are really the drivers of the family community, right? The basic family unit, which is the family community. And I feel that as a woman leader, we really lead with the mind and with the heart and the intuitive mind. I know I always stress this point because women are really very intuitive. I don't know. Men, you want? I know that.
We're getting there.
Really, I feel that. I don't know why, but I feel that. That's really the intuitive mind of a woman. So, as women, I think we would like to drive the professionalism in the community, in our communities, whatever communities we belong to. I mean, as a community, we have been mentioning many topics about communities here. Anna also mentioned, and Yanina mentioned about communities. But what defines the community? The definition of the community is really, it goes back to the common experience that we belong to a community. If we have the common experience, we have the common understanding, we have the common decision, and we have the common action. That defines the community. And I hope that we together, the women in this hall now, will define this community, who are the community, who is the community that's in love, for the purpose of, with a sense of mission. What is this mission? To serve? Yes. It's not only to benefit our pockets and improve the bottom line, but actually, it boils down to what is the purpose of our lives here. The meaning of life is really to be able to draw the best out of the person and to be able to make the other person grow in our basic community. Thank you.
Thank you, Army. So we talked about community, passion, intuition as cornerstones of women as professionals. Ms. Isa, how does this shape your definition? So we're jumping off the points that they started with. So love, passion, intuition, community as defining women as professionals. How does this color your own definition as a woman?
All right, in my case, what drove me to actually be probably as passionate as the women and gentlemen in this panel to drive what I drive in the business that I lead today is very much anchored in what Ms. Nina earlier talked about, which is anchored on family. In the early days, and as mentioned by the chairman, Miguel, that it's what you see in your family that actually molds you and creates the purpose that you will actually dedicate yourself to later in life. I have a grandmother who is very much an entrepreneur, and what she says, I said, why did you choose to become a businesswoman? She says, because I create a lot of businesses for many families and create that multiplier and not being in a corporate environment, not being just an employee. And then my mother also turns out to be an entrepreneur, and then here I am coming into the corporate workforce, a disappointment clearly, and I dig to the family tradition. But nonetheless, what I've realized is in this chosen corporate field, we create just as much value as we do, influencing a lot of lives as much as an entrepreneur does. And inspiring women as much as an entrepreneur does, educating a lot of people, and at the same time, making a lot of people also hopeful for the future. And one of the reasons why I picked actually this forum, I'm supposed to be in another forum, which is technology disrupting the workforce of today, is because I find that in the Philippines, we are very much privileged to actually be in a society where we don't have to fight the battle of women better than men. It's actually women side by side with men driving the country towards where we want it to be with not a lot of barriers. And so that's what drives me, is knowing that no matter how you define what success is, and in whatever context, whether in your own businesses or in an organization where we all, like, the women here work in, it is what matters most to you and what you believe in as you move forward and just create value in each and every person that you work with, and at the same time making sure that you play a part in the future that will be there for our children and our children's children. And that's why I continue to do what I do, because I like to be part of the architect of what the future will be for my children, and so that's why I don't think I see myself stopping doing what I do today.
Thank you so much. Ms. Jane, how do you define yourself as a woman professional?
Okay, with humility, I'd like to say that I think I've achieved a certain level of success when it comes to my profession. But what really makes me happy at the end of the day is what I go home to. I am happily married, been married for the past 19 years, and I actually have 4 children, ages 7 to 17. They make me happy and they make me successful. If you ask me what makes me most proud with what I have achieved, I think I've managed to actually break the corporate class ceiling with the MVP group. I believe I am one of only 2 female presidents and CEOs, right? And I am heading not 1 but actually 3 companies in the organization. I was appointed Signal President 6 years ago, appointed TV5 President 3 months ago, and I currently manage around 1,200 people. So that's what I'm most proud of. But in terms of what I'm most happy with what I do at work, it's not beating competition, it's not hitting the targets. It's actually, because I provide TV viewing experiences for Filipino homes. It's actually seeing the faces and the smiles of children who for the first time when they turn on their television set sees Mickey Mouse in Disney Channel, or they suddenly see Animal Planet or BBC Earth. That drives me, knowing that I'm able to positively impact the lives of people.
Thank you, Ms. Jane. So I think everyone here agrees there's a bigger purpose rather than just a professional career orientation to defining ourselves as women. So Rene, how would you, being, let's say, an outsider looking in today's world, see these women and say, okay, this is the new definition of women as professionals? How would you define us?
Thank you. I'm a man. The topic given is women as professionals putting passion and professionalism in the workplace. I come from the People Management Association of the Philippines. We're a 62-year-old HR Managers Association, and we have about 2,000 company members. And we advocate gender equality in the workplace. And based on our research, hold on ladies, we found out that Filipinas in the workplace have proven themselves in numerous industries, much more better than men. Remember I said in numerous industries, not all. Bumabawi lang. Filipinas are given the same opportunities as their male counterparts, for they work and as hard and as much. And women are not afraid to let their voices be heard in the workplace. In the introduction, we mentioned about the World Economic Forum data that will take 2 centuries to close the gap. But there is good news for the Philippines. Out of 149 countries, the Philippines is ranked number 8. That's a big achievement. And this is 2 notches higher than last year, wherein we were ranked 10 in gender gap index. Now, we've also found out there is a downside. Because we found out in our research that we've seen many women who leave or give up their careers because of what Nina mentioned earlier. Taking care of children, taking care of the household. And we lose a lot of talent and competencies because of this. That's why I'm appealing to the men.
Stay home. Wash dishes and take care of
No, because this is an age-old culture. Wherein ang lalaki, pag nagtrabaho sa bahay, under na. And I can ask my wife to come here and tell you how she trained me. What I'm trying to say is men should share in the responsibility of household and everything. Because there are women out there who lose the careers because of childcare, as I mentioned earlier. Now, the other result of the research is that many women and many employees give you better productivity if companies give family-oriented benefits, family-responsive benefits. It's common because the Philippines is known for being malasakit. That's why in most of our PMAP awards, we've given this for the past 40 years. The winners are those with malasakit, those who respond to the family needs of their employees, regardless of whether they are men or women. So, my hats off to the ladies.
Thank you, sir. I want to jump off on that because it's becoming a gender equality discussion here. I'm going to ask a very contentious question. Is there a difference between male and female leadership? And should we be espousing these differences? You know, I come from Europe. I spent 12 years there. And people hate that. People hate saying, you know, we're different. They should just say, we're good. You're good if you're a woman, if you're a man, you're LGBT. There's no difference. If you, as you mentioned, want to stay home, you should be a good male washing the dishes. You know, you should be, as a woman, should be a good CEO. But can we say, you know, in the Philippines especially, women are motherly, we're better leaders because we have malasakit, we have a bigger heart than men. Can we still be making these distinctions, Ms. Nina?
Well, I really think it's the best person for the job, regardless of gender. And we are all qualified to do what we do, and if there are men who are equally talented, why not? So I don't really choose on the basis of gender.
But can we say that there's a difference when you work with people? Can you say there's difference in leadership styles lang talaga, or women have more, you know, things that they're just simply better at than men?
I think it's not a matter of being better or being. I really don't see any difference actually, because I've had male bosses and I've had female bosses, and they're equally inspiring, no? But it depends on the disposition of the individual, I think. I would not like to make that difference.
Does JB agree? Leadership style, at least.
I think it's really more the perception of people towards women leaders. I will say that women can do as well as men, if not better, in certain roles. But unfortunately, the moniker strong silent type cannot apply to women. Typically, for us to get recognized in the workplace, we have to assert ourselves better. And sometimes that leads to us being branded as quote unquote, can I say this, Miguel, bitches, right?
Tiger women.
Like a tiger women, bitches, being brutally honest. I do believe that we have certain traits that allow us to balance that. We are naturally generous with our time and our love. We are natural listeners. So at the end of the day, deep down, I don't think being a bitch is naturally bad, right? But I think it is what it is. We get judged for how we are once, when we speak our mind. So at the end of the day, we've just got to be very confident about our abilities. We've just got to be authentic as leaders. And, if we can achieve our objectives as much as we can, as consistently as we can, because we have to prove ourselves much harder, especially in the bigger corporate world. We have to do that so that you take the conversation away from what you can't do, what you are as a person, and focus the conversation on what you can achieve or what you can deliver as a female leader, and take the biases that actually forces us to act as bitches to get our points across. So we're good. We're just not sometimes perceived as such because of culture.
Ms. Isa, can you say that you agree with the idea of you need to play the game? It's a man's world out there. You need to be a certain type of woman to be able to at least shatter that at the beginning, and then maybe you can do what you want, let's say. Did you feel that, in your career progression?
Actually, I'm privileged enough to actually work in an organization where at the senior executive level, the split of men to women, by no design at all, is 49 to 51. Senior executive is 49% to 51. In aggregate, total population is 47% women, balance is men. So I never felt the need to overextend or assert myself beyond the comfort of my femininity. And even at the time when I had to be I guess, bearing a child as you were, going through your career, having to excuse yourself, to express milk for a while and then come back to the meeting. I never felt I had to hide or mask that I'm a woman. In fact, I thought that embracing my being a woman in the workforce actually earned me a lot of respect from my colleagues and even from the senior executive gentlemen that I work with. It's in our organization, it's really all about what I can contribute to the organization, and what I represent inside the boardroom as well is not my gender, but rather the responsibility that I took and the customers that I represent in the business. So I guess privileged enough, and that's why I say the Philippine context is a little bit different and need not be anyone other than myself as a woman who loves her job and a mother, as Jane was alluding to, was what drives us as well. So privileged enough, and that's why I come here and would like to share that story, that it does happen in many places in this world. And I think we are partly to be responsible to continue pushing that across companies or areas of the country where it's not yet that way.
Absolutely. I think, we can all agree that in certain sectors, I think the other panels here, creativity, fashion, there's so many women leaders, but for instance, in finance, I think I'm only one of two that are, at this position with Ms. Nina as well, as you mentioned earlier. Sir, can you comment on that, being from the People's Management Association? Are there certain sectors wherein women seem to, succeed in a faster way, just have it easier, and is that changing?
Yes, in people management. When I started my career in people management, we were male-dominated. Take a look at it today. In our association, if you attend our conferences, there's only about 10% male. The men are a dying breed in people management. And rightly so, because when you talk about people management, that is where gaining comes in. Nurturing of your talent, nurturing of your competencies, growing the career. It's just like raising a child, holding a family together in an organization. But across all industries, I don't think gender matters. Leadership talks about how you inspire your people to be with you, to get the results you desire. Whether you're a man or a woman, LGBT or whatever, so long as you can do that, deliver results, then you're a leader.
I So I think we all agree that gender should not matter. It should be the skills, the leadership. But what was the catalyst, sir, just to follow up on that, that pushed that from generally male to 10% male? I mean, how can we do that in all the other sectors? Manufacturing, semiconductors,
Well,
you know?
this is where, when you mention about manufacturing, this is where I challenge women. Take on those jobs that are perceived to be dominated by men. Take a look at the airport now. I notice it. I can see women forklift drivers. Before I don't see that. Take those roles because anyway, companies will give you all the necessary personal protective equipment, all of those things that will help you do the job. So we take out that silo that this job is for men, this job is for women. Equality is the word.
Thank you for that. Miss Army, I wanted to discuss, culturally as Filipinos, you know, Miss Jane here alluded to the fact that if you want to be a female leader, you'll be a tiger woman, a bitch. There's also another side to that wherein you might also be expected to be overly motherly, super friendly, kinder than the males. You know, do you feel that na parang because you are a female, a mother, everyone expects you to be nicer and that you need to actually, you know, how do you balance that with being professional?
Actually, as a professional, I really just be yourself. I'm a mother. I'm a mother of 4, and I'm already a grandmother of 8. Can you believe that? I think you have to congratulate me for that. So I feel that as a mother and as a grandmother, you tend to be more compassionate. And personally, I always look at the best in an individual, in the person. And I experienced that personally, that I'm able to achieve what I have achieved now is because I have a very supportive family. And my family that allowed me to do whatever I'm passionate about. They allowed me to grow. And they were not really very, you know, they didn't want me to just stay at home and to be with them, but they encouraged me to do whatever I want to do. So I feel that in our small communities, in our business, because I always call in the Asian or Philippine context of business, I always look at the business as a family unit. I really treat my workers as family, and I'm there for them 24/7. And that is, I think, the quality of the mother in me looking after my workers. They can call me anytime, and that's me. That's the compassionate woman in me, and the mother in me, and the grandmother in me. Thank you.
Miss Nina, as a leader, and you've been in this industry for a while, and you climbed your way to the top, how have the generations changed, especially now that you have, you know, millennials, women millennials? Do you feel, because in our discussion last night, we were saying that, you know, women are competent already. It's just they lack the self-confidence to feel that they are good enough, at least compared to men. It's an inherent thing, and this is what we were discussing yesterday with Anna, for example. Do you think that has changed in this new generation?
Definitely. I think the millennials and this generation, for example, have more options, no, in terms of careers, in terms of where they want to be, in terms of they're not like our generation where we have to stay with companies for longer periods of time, and we don't really like hop from one company to another. And but with them, because the choice is there, and you see the change where in the past you become a doctor, you become a lawyer, you become an engineer, an accountant, for example. But today they self-define their own careers. There's so many startups now, and they're wanting to get into that business as well. Of course, 90% of them fail, but it doesn't matter, you know, because they know that there's always tomorrow. I like the optimism of the young, and of course, like big organizations are wanting to blend that with the millennials that they take in. because you have to keep them excited all the time. Their disposition is a bit different, and their attention span is not as long as what we used to have. And but you have to recognize that they're bringing in another dimension to the workplace, and their talent is so different now. They're so agile in the way they think, and it's interesting to work with them. And if we are not able to bridge that gap within organizations, it will be very difficult. For the more established ones, I was in Boston last week, and there was this very big company that was talking about that, and saying that if we don't change now, or we don't try to work with the young today, we become very irrelevant, and doesn't think that's like anything for the better of the future. We might as well retire because the young will take over whether we like it or not.
But is it a positive change, Ms. Lisa, that you're doing incubation for startups, in fact?
Absolutely. As a lot of you know, the telco industry today, well, not just today, maybe since 5 years ago, and Jane works, is actually in a similar industry, has been challenged tremendously by the new internet technology companies, Facebook, Google, etc. The global internet companies are coming to eat our lunch, which is our revenue, our profits, etc. And that's why, as Ms. Nina was talking about, it's very important that we keep ourselves very relevant. And the way we do that is making sure that we keep our head to the ground, our hearts near where it matters, in terms of always making sure that we are able to solve the problems that our customers have, and making sure the solutions that we create for them today are actually relevant. So the reason why 917 Ventures was created for Globe is because we need to go beyond telco services to solve people's problems, because not all problems of Filipinos are solved by having a data plan or a postpaid plan today, or a connectivity. There are so many problems of the Filipinos today that are requiring a lot of us actually coming together across industries, serving them where it matters, across many, many spaces, whether it be health, insurance, wealth management, education, many, many industries that we think are still today actually underserved, unserved, or not penetrated enough for the Filipinos. So we remain to be committed to be part of actually solving problems for the Filipinos beyond what we originally set out to do, which was pure connectivity. And as Nina also alluded to, we know we will be failing in many of those attempts, because you don't get it right the first time, the second time, or the third time. That's why it's so important we attract also the right mindset. We get the young people getting mixed with people with experience, such as us here in the panel. And so striking the right mix, I guess, between experience, youth, technology, will be the secret to how we can move this all forward beyond being just women, but women in leadership positions, actually showing that, number one, we are ready to take a stand in also architecting the future for the Filipinos. And if we fail along the way, then so be it, because we will also have successes along the way, and the big winner will actually be us Filipinos in general anyway. So we take the plunge for the Filipinos.
If I may just say, if you are of our generation and you have children and grandchildren, just look to them for the answers. Just look at what they're working on and what they're playing with, and it's education, believe me.
Ms. Jane, all about leadership, and you did mention, you're one of 2 female leaders in the entire group, which does mean that it was still a challenge to get to that spot. It wasn't, without merit at all. Do you think that we should as women, or even men, have a certain bias towards cultivating more women as leaders, or do you just let this play out in a natural way? Because there's only going to be one Jane Bass. It's going to be very difficult over time. Should we have a bias?
I believe so much in the principle of meritocracy, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're male or female, or young and old, whether you're a boomer, I'm a Gen Xer, or a millennial. At the end of the day, whoever can deliver and whoever can get the job done will get the job and will actually get rewarded in the process. But I'd like to say that for the women leaders, because I was, my first promotion in the MVP group I got after 9 years, right? Not because I felt I wasn't good, but it was, because I never conformed, right? So I encourage women to not be shy about showing your capabilities because we're really naturally shy. We say sorry all the time. We always seem to justify ourselves, especially to our male bosses. So fight that, and never gauge your value to the company in terms of your gender.
Dadamputin niya lang
How do you
yan.
see the workplace of the future, sir?
The workplace of the future will be dominated, as you said, by the most competent employees, regardless of the gender.
How
Those who
long,
can-
sir? How long is that going to take? How long is it going to take wherein it's just going to be based on, on competence
Well,
and
I can
not
speak for the
hindered from
Philippines.
gender?
Right now, it's happening. As I mentioned, in the World Economic
Sabi ko.
Forum Gender Gap Index, we're already number 8. And I have to see that next year to be number 6. Because we just work on competencies. Who can deliver the real goods? Who can really, as a leader, who can engage their employees? And the best way to engage your employees is to determine what are the gaps, what do they need? As Nina mentioned, watch your children. When I was younger, I watched my children then, and that's what I do in the office. when right now, I look at my grandchildren, I take a look, ano ba yung app na yan? Then I study. So that's how I motivate the younger people now. But having said, Filipinos have many challenges today. I'd like to have a quick survey. How many struggles in traffic? Lahat. How many of you belong to organizations that allow you to work from home? 1, 2. Work from home. I'd like to have the same equal number that most organizations must allow their employees to work from home. Why? That's the only way to go. But even in the car, it can work. So long as you're the driver. Take a look at Nina. She holds board meetings when she's in the car.
Thank you, sir. So all about infrastructure that needs to come, and policy as well to come before we actually get there.
Yes, that's what is kind of lacking now because everyone is talking right now about the fourth industrial revolution. Maybe except for BPOs, except for the manufacturing sector, we're much lagging behind. Even in artificial intelligence, data analytics. But in the Western world, they're already talking about the fifth industrial revolution. And that is personalization, wherein humanity will be back. Kasi natatakot lahat because of fourth IR, robotics, analytics, all of these things. In the fifth, papasok ulit ng tao.
Soft skills nga daw po yung papasok doon. Can I ask some questions from the floor? I think we have time for maybe 2 questions. I think there are microphones here, one in the middle. One.
Yes.
Can you also state your name and where your designation?
My name is Rebecca Bustamante, the organizer of the HCO events. The question go to Ms. Nina. Ms. Nina, your information or the messages shared inspired me more, and I'm sure everybody here. You mentioned about you make the choice of making the decision who's the man that you want to marry. The question is, did you choose the man that you want to marry or he chose you?
He chose me. He was my boss. During that time, there was no sexual harassment.
Nina mentioned about at that time there was no sexual harassment, but there is some data coming out right now. Because of sexual harassment, most companies now, they come up with policies about romance in the office. They don't allow romance in the office because it could be hidden. Sexual harassment might be hidden as an office romance. So just to ensure that there are no hanky-pankies, PMAP is likewise advocating that.
Just for context, I joined an organization as my first job where they would only like take 20% female, 80% needed to be men. So you can just imagine the ratio, no? How many suitors you can get.
Is this legal? Do this?
No, at that time it was, and they had a quota that only 20% could be female. So they have to be the best and the brightest, di ba? Anyway.
Any other questions? Okay, I think I'll conclude with one last question. How do you feel that men's perceptions of women in leadership positions have changed, especially from your, from the time that you started up to the time now? Are they afraid of us? Are they looking at us like, okay, you can have one part of the pie but not the entire pie, Or are they really much more collaborative right now? Maybe, yeah, okay.
I actually sense that the men now are giving the women the tougher jobs, right? Do you agree? It's like when there's a mission or a new mission or a big job or something to fix, I get a sense that they do pick the women for the many reasons probably that have been spoken about by the previous speakers. And for what the women of today actually can do, and despite having to do the difficult job, whatever that is, we still manage to get out of it, inspiring people, I guess, and motivating people. So I say that they pick the women to do the dirty, the difficult, and the unknown jobs that they don't choose because they're afraid to fail. But women, we can't fail, and parang okay lang. Okay lang, diba? But no, but then we prove ourselves really well, so we grab the opportunity and prove them wrong. Isn't that amazing for us?
Why not? Ms. Jane.
Well, where I am now is largely because of my male mentors, right? There was Boy Martires many years ago. More recently, there's Noela Renzana and Rhea Espinosa and Manuel Pangilinan. So it's really a huge thanks to all these men leaders, right, for recognizing the diamond in the rough that was me. Unfortunately, growing up, I never really had female leaders or mentors to look up to. But right now, I agree with Isa. My bosses, I think, give me the job that I have right now because it's the most difficult job to do, right? I mean, TV5 has not been profitable for the past 10 years. And imagine handing that over to me and expecting me to create a plan that will turn it around. And I'm telling you, I will do the job.
It's not just your bosses relying on you, Jane. By the way. Christina.
Yes, things have changed, and in fact, I think the men are more opening to listening, and it's not just their point of view now that is being considered in the boardroom, for example. They're very respectful, and they listen to what you have to say and what you have, the value you add. So it's a very welcome change for me.
Well, from my experience, I've never really worked in the corporate organization because I have always been an entrepreneur. What I can say is that the people and the organizations that I'm involved with have been, and the men that I've been involved with in the organizations have been very inspiring, and they have been motivating me a lot. And I would like to say that in my family, I really thank my husband for really this motivation and inspiration, because he really inspired me to be who I am. And and he really allowed me to grow.
Okay, men, so we love you, nevertheless. Finally, sir. But do you think that there's enough space, for us to coexist, let's say, with the traditional models that you have seen in place? Or are men threatened somewhat? Their jobs are going to be taken away, or like you said, that some men don't want to stay home and have these different differentiation in roles. What's the sentiment?
The men who are afraid of women must not go into leadership roles.
Sabay ko na.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. If you are afraid of any gender, of anybody, then you don't deserve to be a leader. I look at women leaders. As far as I am concerned, I'm supposed to be a man. Supposed to be.
Maybe deep down your own.
Women is a challenge to us. Because of up and coming competencies, inspiring leaders, men must move up or be ahead of them. That's one. Second, I look at women as very inspiring. If I encounter problems in the workplace, the first person that comes to my mind is my mother. If my mother was here, what will she do? I never think of my father. It's always my mother because the wisdom always, the way I was raised, the wisdom comes from the women. Mga lalaki, huwag kayong nagalit sa akin. Number 3, in the Philippines, the women outnumbers the men. I think it's 8-1. 8-1.
49.6 daw, sir.
49.6.
More or
Okay.
less, 50-50.
Okay. Imagine those numbers. If we do not nurture the talent of women, we're missing a lot. That's why let's help women lead the country and our organization.
Thank you very much. So a lot of optimism, nevertheless, in the professional space for our roles as women. Thank you, panel. Thank you, audience, for your patience.
Thank you very much once again to all our panelists. Miss Lisa, sorry, please stay on stage. And Miss Jane for a photo opportunity. Thank you to Nina, Army, Jane, Isa, Rene, our moderator, Danny. At this point, we'd like to ask Sir Lucien to join them up on stage. And Miss Yanina, may we ask you to come up on stage to award our panelists.
Uy, isa pa lang na po.
Miss Yanina and Lucien. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded our half day, and I have good news for everyone because it is time for lunch. So please do take this chance to go around, network, take a bathroom break if you need. Lunch is now served. You can enjoy your lunch on your tables. And just a reminder that we will resume the program at 12:45 p.m.
45?
Have a nice lunch, everyone.
Ay, isang oras? Pas ka na.